The curse of immortality. I remember waking up the same way I've woken up, seemingly thousands of times before. The sun, as usual, was very oppressive and hot, and it was obvious from the dead vegetation that this day is going to be just like most other days before it, filled with struggle, frustration, and the ever-present threat of death. Still, I felt grateful. I have a family all around me in our small band of 10 survivors. That's what I would like to call our ornery yet defiant band of stragglers. But there's something new on this particular morning. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but every time we come across a stream, a small pond, or even the faint beginnings of a tributary of what could possibly be a big river, these words ring out in my head. Intergalactic space travel. I don't know what the hell that means. At first, I thought it was the sound of some sort of predatory bird I need to be on the lookout for. But once my band lands a feathered predator, I don't hear the word. I don't hear it either when I sink my teeth into the juicy thigh of a deer. Must be a bad dream. 2000 BC. Let me tell you, it's one thing to get people together to plant your spring crops and make sure that water reaches even the most remote area of your farm plot. But it's another thing entirely to haul massive slabs of sandstone and limestone from faraway quarries and push and pull them up a ramp and stack them neatly. There's no room for compromise when you are building a stairway to the gods. But that's exactly where I find myself today, unable to die, donning yet another set of strange clothes in another age. I've been through this before. As my band's villages and clans die off, I get to see 1,000 new tomorrows. Now that I've seen what seems like countless vistas and sunrises, this day, I see this triangle-shaped stone fist defiantly rising slowly out of the void of the sands surrounding us. Set in the middle of nowhere, these stacks of stones seem like they can't be intimidated by history, time, forgetfulness, or the waves of massacres, genocides, invasions, disease, and mass confusion that often wash over my people. I've witnessed this personally year after year, decade after decade, century after century, to no seeming end. And as my workers grunt and huff as they pull the last piece of triangular stand stone into place, my sweat-stained, salt-stinged eyes lay witness to yet another testimony to man's insistence at immortality. But deep down inside, I knew all people around me will die. Their flesh will turn into the dust that swirls hungrily around this massive stone pyramid in front of me. And throughout all of that, I still hear this faint sound, insistent and persistent. Intergalactic space travel. Maybe I'm just cursed with this nightmare.
0AD.
I looked over the port, seeing the steady throng of cargo men hauling all sorts of wares from all four corners of the empire. Olive oil from Aegean, fine timbers from what remains of the majestic forests of Lebanon, exotic, otherworldly fragrances emitted from incense crystals from what seemed like the end of the world at the southern tip of Africa. And don't even get me started about the impossible lightness yet iron durability of this magical cloth from the mysterious East called silk. I quickly scribble my estimates of the foot traffic as the Magister enters the room. All hail, Caesar. Glory to the Republic. The ironclad, stone-like soldiers recited in unison, their spear tips apparently hitting the ground all at the same time in unified tapping that felt like forever. With the wave of the sand, Magister Flavius Agrippa silenced the soldiers' obligatory greeting and quickly sat on the only chair in the center of the alcove we were in. Administrator Felix, what is your report today? Magister, all the ships have come in as scheduled except for a handful that was caught up in the unfortunate storm off Cyrenia. What did we lose? Just based on their past cargo records, my best guess is several lots of olive oil and possibly 5 to 10 dozen crates of dates and other preserved fruit from Africa. Planting his forehead flatly in his palm, partly in theatric demonstration of bureaucratic concern for the citizenry, the Magister said, Rome and the Senate cannot afford such further losses. I'm sure before these words even left his lips, he knew how impotent and pointless they were, because the empire could no more control the winds sent by the gods than it could control the unquenchable flames of ambition present in the hearts of all soldiers and administrators who claim the protection and authority of the empire. I note your concern, Magister, in the official record. As I looked at the sun-dappled bazaars below me, surrounding the large temple squares and public forum, a sense of nostalgia comes over me. I've seen this before. I am after all the man who could not die. People give me strange looks from time to time, as if there's something about me with my heavy brow ridge and weird cheekbones that seem to place me at a different time. But here I am, the man who refuses to die, who has seen humanity crawl out of caves to turn forests into rolling pasture lands and deserts into teeming green fields. I've also seen humanity conjure out of the unforgiving and relentlessly angry earth huge monuments of limestones, sandstone, and even granite reaching far into the sky, defying destiny itself. And here in my present state, as yet another witness to yet another empire that struggled to erupt into glory only to fade out to the ashes of history soon enough. The words intergalactic space travel ring through my mind yet again.
1300 AD.
The bells clanging are quite different from the town square that I have grown accustomed to. These are smaller. They sound more shrill, yet they rang out repeatedly in short yet extended bursts, obviously with a tremendous amount of urgency. Make way for the dead. Make way for the dead. I could smell the desperation, the hump thick in the air as these men with leather masks covered their eyes and mouths with protruding nose pieces that made them look like ghoulish birds of prey, rushing forth, desperately pulling yet another ramshackle carriage, teeming with bodies in different states of rot. The fresh corpses have their eyes and mouths wide open as if they were caught by surprise. Death overcame them. Make way for the dead. The men's torches barely illuminated their surroundings. I suppose this matches the mood of the time as the plague continues to reap souls in so many parts of Christendom. It's as if God himself had fallen asleep as his people wail in desperation and anguish. 1/3 to even 1/2 of towns were decimated. As a lowly, underpaid emissary of the Holy Roman Emperor, I felt I could only do one thing to serve these people. I hastily stamped the Emperor's seal on whatever official documents that petty bureaucracy sent my way. These didn't amount to much anyway. Pointless appeals for help, famine reports, and of course the never-ending list of the dead. But I was tasked to pay special attention and take urgent action on one thing and one thing alone: the collection of taxes. And there I was, an underpaid impotentate with a fancy title that didn't mean much of anything for people who were just a cough or a sneeze away from certain death. Still, clutching the small leather pouch of gold and silver coins in my hand, I mount my horse to go to yet another town that I am sure would, like this town, be erased from the maps thanks to the plague. As I gripped that month's collection with one hand and my reins in the other, it happened again. Shot through my mind like a crystal bullet, its words distinct, crisp, and unmistakable. Intergalactic space travel. I wish after millennia of this curse of immortality, I would be closer to knowing what that phrase means. Still, as I surveyed the death, destruction, and despair around me, the answer is all too obvious.